Welcome to the news with me, Sibongile Ziambo. The headlines. President Chakwera lead Malawians in getting second jab of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. Traditional leaders call for an urgent formulation of the Chiefs Council. And court to decide next week on an application for a virtual witness appearance in the Bushiri's extradition case. And finally, sports news, Malawi women's cricket team on course to compete in the World Cup qualifiers. Now the news in detail. President Lazarus Chakwera and Vice President Dr. Saulos Chilima have led Malawians in getting the second jab of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine at Mtuntama State Lodge in Lilongwe. Speaking after getting the jab on Friday, the president reiterated that efforts to control the spread of COVID-19 global pandemic will be meaningless if people are not vaccinated. Health Minister Kumbize Kandode Chiponda has since assured Malawians that the country has enough vaccine in stock for the second phase. Grace Kombe filed this report.
The state president, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera, and his vice, Dr. Saulos Chilima, today have received the second jab of AstraZeneca here at Ntuntama State residence in Lilongwe. The two got the first jab on March 11, 2021. The state president, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera, got his jab in Zomba, while the vice president, Dr. Saulos Chilima, got his first jab in Nzuzu. And speaking before receiving the jab, the president, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera, reminded Malawians that COVID-19 remains a challenge in Malawi and has stressed the need that all people should be vaccinated. He said this is why he has taken this bold step as per COVID-19 vaccination to receive his second jab today at Ntuntama State residence. And he has assured Malawians that he will make sure that all people get recommended vaccine as per world standards. And speaking earlier, Health Minister Kumbize Kandode Chiponda said the gesture by the president and vice president is a great commitment that they want this battle against COVID-19 to be won in Malawi. And she said that COVID-19 remains a challenge, a threat in Malawi, and this is why the ministry is encouraging all people who got the first jab to receive their second jab this time around. And she said the country is expecting to receive 900,000 doses under COVAX program to ensure that all people who received the first jab are vaccinated this time around. From Ntuntama State residence, this is Grace Kombe.
And Senior Chief MalawiNews Sanjay has called for urgent formulation of the National Chiefs Council, which he says will help chiefs to amplify their voices on matters that concern them. The chief said this on Friday in Blantyre, where Deputy Minister of Local Government Halima Daudi opened an exercise aimed at soliciting views from stakeholders as part of a process for the formulation of the chiefs' policy. MalawiNews say that chiefs will capitalize on government's intention to formulate the policy to push for the formulation of the council. Happy Njeramano filed this report from Blantyre.
Deputy Minister of Local Government Halima Daudi says government wants to rope in views from traditional leaders across the country to formulate the best chiefs policy.
This chiefs policy is going to help the chiefs, to work properly. We just want to hear their views. What should be included in their policy? Was this policy is theirs? And the chiefs also from here, they're going to tell the subordinates about this policy. We want also to hear their views, and those views should be included in the chief's policy.
One of the chiefs in the country, Senior Chief Malemi of Nsanje, says among other issues they want government to include in the policy establishment of National Chiefs Council.
For instance, if a chief somewhere goes against the laws of this country, that council will be responsible to summon that chief. So without a council, we are just almost like voiceless. But if you look at all other organizations, they have voices. The lawyers, the judges. But do the chiefs have a voice? No. This is why I was saying we need a chiefs council. We needed this chiefs council yesterday, not today.
Friday morning in Blantyre, Daudi opened an exercise where government is soliciting views from traditional leaders across the country to formulate the chiefs policy.
The police say a CID officer in Zomba was on Thursday shot dead by a fellow officer during an operation with suspected thugs at the Chansa College. Police information Police information we have in possession show that the officer identified as Sergeant Chawanangwa Mkandawire was hit by a bullet aimed at a suspecting thug. It says 5 suspected criminals armed with pangas and a toy pistol planned to attack a vehicle carrying cash meant to pay security officers for Jeep's security company that provides services to Chansa College. And employees at Malawi Post Corporation across the country have gone on strike to force management to address the welfare grievances. One of the members of the MPC Workers Union, Vata Wilson, has told Zodiak in Nilongo on Friday that the workers want their board to address their concerns, failing which they'll go to office of the president and cabinet next week. Vata explains.
I came here to collect a parcel, and somebody sent it to me from Kwagwanji. And well, as usual, as a customer, I thought I'll find the place open, but unfortunately the place is closed. It's a very huge inconvenience for me because those are business documents. It means I can no longer transact unless I get those documents. As a customer, I think I need to follow up with management because these are very important documents. I'm supposed to get them today so that I can proceed with my business. I didn't know that they'll be going on strike. I've just learned when I came here, which is a very huge inconvenience. And well, I just hope and pray that the management will understand and assist accordingly.
Parliamentary Cluster Committee on Agriculture, Climate Change and Natural Resources has accused the Department of Irrigation of overlooking oversight bodies when implementing projects involving huge sums of money. Co-chairperson for the cluster, Samir Suleiman, said this on Friday when officials from the department appeared before the joint committee. The committee has since decided that the cluster will have to first visit some of the activities under the Shire Valley Transformation Program before completing hearing from the department. But Principal Secretary for the department, Sandra Maweru, said the COVID-19 pandemic affected project activities that could have involved the committee. We have this report by Winston Kaimira.
Officials from the Department of Irrigation appeared before the Parliamentary Cluster on Agriculture, Climate Change and Natural Resources, where they wanted to make 2 presentations on the 2021-2022 budget allocation for the department. But as the officials were set to make a second presentation on activities being implemented under the Shire Valley Transformation Program, members of the cluster expressed concern that relevant parliamentary committees are not involved in various project activities. This prompted the parliamentary cluster to put on hold the second presentation until it visits the project site to appreciate some of activities being implemented. Co-chairperson for the cluster, Samir Suleiman, said the visit has been planned for Sunday. He said the cluster is also surprised that the department has been failing to fully utilize funds provided under financial support from the donor community.
Out of 70 billion that donors gave us, they only used about 38. Meaning that the other money has not been used. We questioned them on that one, and the responses they gave were that since it's a new project, the program is under inception still, they had some few hiccups which they hope to finalize in the near future.
But the Principal Secretary for the department, Sandra Maweru, said the COVID-19 pandemic affected some project activities which required the involvement of the parliamentary committees.
There was the outbreak of COVID, and therefore movements were very restricted in terms of going out in the field. So because now, of course, we still have that challenge, but it's at low levels, and we will arrange for that visit.
Meanwhile, the department says high vacancy rate is hindering it from discharging its duties effectively. This is Winston Kaimira reporting for Zodiak in Lilongwe.
Malawi has failed to achieve target 4 of Goal 14 of the Sustainable Development Goal to effectively regulate harvesting aimed overfishing and destructive fishing practices by the year 2020. Minister of Natural Resources and Forestry Nasa Tembo said this on Friday at the signing of the SADC Charter for the establishment of the Monitoring, Control and Surveillance Coordination Center, a facility which will support sustainable fisheries management in the region. We have this report for more.
On 1 January 2016, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, adopted by world leaders in September 2015 at a historic UN summit, officially came into force. Target 4 of Goal 14 of the SDGs urges countries to effectively regulate harvesting and end overfishing, eliminate illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing. 5 years down the line, a number of countries in the Southern African region, including Malawi, have failed to eliminate illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing. Minister responsible Nancy Tembo attributes the current situation to inadequate financing and human resource. She says meeting the ambitious target requires strong awareness-raising efforts to draw attention of the general public to the negative impacts of illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing.
The contributing factors would be because lack of resources. We do not have adequate resources for enforcement and enough personnel for awareness and just to monitor what is happening. So we need adequate financing and we need adequate personnel. The capacity is not there, but what we're trying to do is now towards building that capacity.
The minister says the signing of the SADC Charter for the establishment of the Monitoring, Control and Surveillance Coordination Center on Friday in Lilongwe is a step in the right direction in supporting sustainable fisheries management.
We have signed this charter today to join other member states that already signed this charter. The purpose is to ensure that we are all on the same page, working together in unity to adhere to regulations and guidelines that are set out by this charter.
As the country joins the rest of the world in commemorating International Day for the Fight Against Illegal, Unreported and Unregulated Fishing on June 5, Malawi has signed a SADC report titled Working Together to Protect Our Fisheries and the National Aquaculture Strategy. The fisheries sector continues to be a major source of food, employment, recreation, trade and economic well-being for the people in the country.
The Ministry of Forestry and Natural Resources has introduced a toll-free line for reporting harmful environmental practices. Minister Nancy Tembo launched the initiative on Friday in Lilongwe during a press briefing on the eve of the 2021 World Environment Day commemorations, which falls every 5th June. The minister has since called for a collective effort in promoting preservation and restoration of the environment. Meanwhile, environmental expert Godfrey Mfiti has hailed the initiative but describes it as a tall order, saying the country is technologically behind. This report by Western Guda.
The Ministry of Forestry and Natural Resources has decried growing practices including wanton cutting down of trees, unregulated fishing, poaching, indiscriminate waste disposal and some farming activities that are doing more harm to the environment. A responsible Minister Nancy Tembo has said that Malawians should understand that the environment immensely contributes to the well-being of mankind, hence the need for collective effort to preserve and restore the environment. She added that globally, water and food are becoming more and more scarce due to carelessness in the way people handle their day-to-day affairs, thus introducing a toll-free telephone hotline service, 5153, so that Malawians should use to report harmful practices to the environment.
We have challenges, and most of the challenges emanating from lack of resources. But we have embarked on an awareness campaign, and we believe that the message is getting through to the general public, and we have noted people taking individual responsibility in ecosystem conservation and restoration.
Meanwhile, environment expert Godfrey Mfiti has hailed the initiative but describes it as a tall order, saying the country is technologically behind, hence the need for massive public engagement.
We are technologically behind in terms of using such kind of services. And as far as the environment is concerned, this is one of the areas that is overlooked. So we're not sure if the community are ready to adopt and use it.
On June 5th annually, Malawi and the rest of the world commemorates efforts put in place to deal with harmful practices to the environment. Reporting for Zodiak, this is Western Guta.
And staying with the environment, vendors from Zoo City Market have started boycotting paying market fees for what they call as continued failure by the council authorities to improve poor sanitation at the market. A visit to the market on Friday, Zodiak found dilapidated toilets and untreated sewers passing through undesignated drain. Overall chairperson for the market, Alex Sikwese, says that the move is to force the council to address their concerns. Dr. Kumwenda has more.
The Nzuzu City's main market, which accommodates over 1,000 vendors, has about 5 working toilets, but most are damaged and do not have the right drainage systems. A visit to the market, Zodiak has seen that most of the toilets' waste is left to run through open spaces due to lack of proper drainage. Overall chairperson for the market, Alex Sikwese, says the appalling sanitation issues is what has forced the vendors to stop paying market fees until the council fixes the situation.
Yeah, our concern is we are worried of maybe getting disease or being affected by some things. Even foreign investors cannot come in our market because the market is too dirty. We are tired of this thing. We have been discussing for so long. Unfortunately, we are not getting helped. So because of this thing, we need to be helped by the government or else by the local government. We are still conducting this strike as of now till they call us for proper discussions, for proper way forward.
Nzuzu City Council spokesperson McDonald Gondwe says the council acknowledges the challenges by vendors, but due to financial problems, it cannot immediately address the concerns.
We really acknowledge the complaints because for quite some time we have been discussing these issues with the vendors' leadership. But as we are aware, of late, the council has not been financially stable.
Sikwese further said that illegal vending has also affected their business, an issue they say has been ongoing for some time, but the council has failed to assist. For Zodiak in Nzuzu, I'm Tuera Kumwenda.
You're watching News on Zodiac. We'll be right back shortly.
Ikolole kungonjezera mayunitsi atnm kuyambira 200 kwacha kapena kuposera pamenepo mutha kukhala mmodzi mwa mamilioneya mu TNM Tikolole promotion. Koma mukaonjezera mayunitsi ndi 100 kwacha kapena kuposerapo mudzilandira mabonus oyimbira foni, SMS kapena data pompo.
TNM, always with you.
Welcome back. Here are the top stories again. President Chakwera lead Malawians in getting second jab of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. Traditional leaders call for an urgent formulation of the Chiefs Council. In court to decide next week on an application for a virtual witness appearance in the Bushiri's extradition case. And in sports, Malawi women's cricket team on course to compete in the World Cup qualifiers. Chief Resident Magistrate Patrick Chira has reversed his ruling until Tuesday next week on an application by the state for South African witnesses to testify virtually in the Bushiri's extradition case. The court had initially ruled that the witnesses must be physically in court on Friday, but the defense is objecting the move, insisting that the witnesses must testify physically. Mareto Pidi was at the court.
Both the state and the defense spent the whole morning arguing and counter-arguing on this application, the basis of it being that the South African witnesses were supposed to be physically in court today to be cross-examined by the defense, that's the lawyers for Bushiri, but they did not. And what the court got instead was that there was an application by the state through Director of Public Prosecutions, Dr. Steve Kayuni, to ask the court that these witnesses should instead give their evidence via video conferencing because of the COVID-19. He argued that third wave of the COVID-19 has hit South Africa and most of the witnesses are within the ages that are susceptible to this disease. And he also talked about other logistical challenges that would make it difficult for them to come physically in court. But obviously, the lead lawyer for the Bushiris, that's Wapana Keita, argued that that application lacked basis because as the court was sitting here in Malawi, witnesses can also come using the same preventive measures as well. So Chief President Magistrate Patrick Chilwa has reserved his ruling for choose, like you've said, that will be on the 8th of June, where to rule whether these South African witnesses that are 10 in total, according to Kayuni, should come physically in court or should justify using video conference. Remember, this is an extradition case for the Bushiris. They are wanted in South Africa to answer money laundering charges.
Motorcycle operators in Likoma have given Likoma District Council an ultimatum of 1 month to respond to their petition, which, among others, demands answers from the MRA and police after accusing them of abusing road traffic and taxation laws. Speaking in an interview with Zodiak Friday, chairperson for the Motorcycle Association, Yusuf Asima, alleged that the fines they pay to MRA are not recorded in the MRA system. Meanwhile, Head of Corporate Affairs at MRA, Steve Kapoloma, expressed ignorance on the issue. District Commissioner at DC for Likoma, Eric Nima, said he will respond within the specified time. Shamuda Drake reports.
On Friday morning, the motorcycle operators took to streets and stormed offices of the District Commissioner, DC for Likoma, to present their petition on their griefs, alleging that Malawi Revenue Authority, MRA, and the police have been violating taxation and road traffic laws. On their petition, the angry motorcycle operators have given the DC Eric Nema to respond up to 4 July 2021. Speaking in an interview with Zodiak, chairperson for Motorcycle Association in Likoma, Yusuf Asima, alleges that MRA have been issuing them receipts without their full amount reflecting, and that every police officer has become a traffic officer with some in civilian, demanding penalties without a valid cause of a crime.
Road traffic ikutolera misonkho yosiyana-siyana maka misonkho yapansi.
Police officer in charge for Likoma, Superintendent Active Mkandawire, and Head of Corporate Affairs at MRA, Steve Kapoloma, said they are not aware of the development, but the MRA boss further asked for more time to respond. Zodiac has also gathered some information that operators have been going to MRA offices in Mzuzu to verify for their payments, but their details have not been recorded in their systems. Reporting for Zodiac from Likoma Island, this is Shamuda Drake.
In sports news, cricket, Malawi is optimistic the country's women cricket national team who compete in the World Cup qualifiers slated for September this year. Cricket Malawi's president, Vivek Gansin, told us they are reaching out to local companies for support and the response has been encouraging. There were fears that the national team would not participate in the qualifiers due to limited resources as well as the COVID-19 pandemic. And that's about what we had time for in this edition of news. And before we go, look at the headlines. President Chakwera lead Malawians in getting second jab of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. Traditional leaders call for an agent formulation of the Chiefs Council. Court to decide next week on an application for a virtual witness appearance in the Bushiris extradition case. Puts Malawi women's cricket team on course to compete in the World Cup qualifiers. Visit our website zodiacmalawi.com for more of these and other stories. This is Sibongile Ziambo. Thank you for watching and goodbye.